everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm so happy to be sharing with you guys this Father's Day card that I made for my dad. As many of you know, he's had a lot of health issues, particularly with his heart this year, and I'm so feeling blessed and grateful that he's with me now and he's doing so well. And I'll just go ahead and start sharing how I created this cutesy Father's Day card. I started with the Clearly Besotted, Just the Two of Us stamp set. I believe this is retired. I couldn't find it online, but hopefully if you have it, you'll get a chance to use it for Father's Day or Mother's Day. It's got a variety of really cute little critters, a big critter and a little baby critter. And I thought this koala was perfect for my dad because he's all about spending quality time with the family. I know, it's a horrible pun, but I love puns. So first I'm sharing with you guys just some really simple Copic coloring. I looked at a whole bunch of pictures of koalas on Google Images, and I saw that they had kind of a warm gray tone with a little bit of a tan hint to some of them. And right around the start of their ears, especially toward the tops, a lot of them had darker gray. So I'm going ahead and doing that for the little baby, and then I'm creating some little wisps of white with a Uniball Signal white gel pen. I decided I need to blend a little further and add a little bit more of a light warm gray, so I'm adding that W1, and then I thought the little baby could do with some rosy cheeks, so I added some R30. I'm just going back in and blending out a little bit more. I wanted to keep the baby koala a little bit lighter. That W9 is being used for accenting the nose and the little smiling eyes. Now I'm moving on to the daddy koala, and I'm putting down a base color of W0. I'm just trying to mark out where the darker colors are going, actually, just to double check that I'm doing this correctly. The underside of the arms, underneath the little baby's chin, around where the muzzle or nose area would meet the brow or the forehead, and then also I'm putting in rosy cheeks for the dad as well. And then I'm going to blend around the rosy cheeks and toward the outside edge with that W0 again. If you're interested in all the colors that I used, if you don't jot them down here, always know that my accompanying blog posts that I always link to in the description boxes of my videos will have all of the the resources or the tools and supplies that I use, including the colors of the Copic markers. So I'm just trying to figure out more of a darker tone for the daddy koala and marking in kind of the areas that would be shadowed, the under parts of the arms, under the baby's chin, where the arm joins to the body, where the snout or muzzle, I don't know what it's called on a koala, meets the forehead. And I'm blending back out with the midtones, the W5s. And for the furry parts, I don't actually use the W9 except for around the eyes and the nose. The darker color that you're seeing here is actually W7, and it's fairly dark. I'm going back in and blending out with a W0 all the way on the edges of the head. When I looked at the koala pictures, I saw that their bellies were a little paler, almost a cream color. And here I am with a W9 going over the eyes and the nose again. Blending back out with a W1 on the tops of the paws, a W5 or 7 on the lower parts of the feet and the arms. And again, I'm going to use my white Jelly Roll pen. Actually, my Jelly Roll pen ran out. So here you can see that I'm starting out with a Uniball Signo white gel pen, which is a little thicker than my Jelly Roll pen. So I'm starting to do the flicking from outside the image going toward the inside so that I know when I fussy cut this out, the white fur won't look too heavy and it will still have the nice texture of fur. So that's one way you can get around kind of getting a lighter touch for that Uniball Signo white gel pen. Sometimes it comes out pretty heavy. Now I'm going back in and blending out again, adding more shadows. And then I'm using a Simon Says stamped stitched square die, and I've cut out a piece of pale blue cardstock, and I'm using an MFT cloud stencil and some broken china to add some kind of visual texture to the background here. And this stencil is new to me. It's been around for a while, but I find it's so easy to use. I usually, in the past, had cut out my own stencil out of some cardstock or some packaging, but just having the stencil makes it really easy. And I'm trying to soften up the paler blue areas and the edges with the ink as well. There's barely any ink left on my blending tool, but I do find that that softens it somewhat. Now I'm taking a W7, and you can see I'm flicking up on a little scrap of white cardstock, and that's because I wanted to create some grass for the base. I use that square stitch die again, and then I'm using an MFT grassy hillside to create kind of a grassy look, and I'm going to achieve this kind of ombre shadowed grass by cutting that off and then using a YG25. This is a little tip so that you can get really rich, deep kind of colors, and the YG25 is pushing the W7 so that it becomes really greenish. And then I decide I'm going to cut off some of the bottom just so that the grass doesn't take up so much of this background area. I'm just going to glue this on with my favorite wet glue. This is the Art Glitter Glue. I'm gluing that onto the bottom there. And then I'm going to offset a kind of a mid-tone blue square that I've also die cut out using the Simon Says stamp stitch square die. And then for the koalas, I decide I'm going to add a little dimension and pop them up with some foam tape. And I just want to make sure that it really supports the back of this, so you can see me just tearing off bits of it. This double-sided foam tape is from the Dollar Tree, and it's really easy to tear off. You don't necessarily have to use scissors. And now I'm going to back the back of the squares as well, and you can see I'm just, again, tearing off little pieces of that double-sided foam tape, making sure to get all the way to the edges there with some thinner strips, and also supporting the middle. Now, Lawn Fawn makes this adorable background die. It's called Quilted Backdrop, and that's what I used for the card base. I'm using the card base color that's like a tealy blue, and then putting that white die cut overlay. And now for the sentiment, I'm using the scrap of the blue that I used for the background of the koalas, and I'm stamping out the sentiment also from the Clearly Besotted set that says, World's Best Dad. And I'm using Versamark ink and then some Ranger embossing powder in super fine white. Tapping off the excess there. I'm catching the excess in a coffee filter, which I can pour back into the bottle. And as you can see, I'm using my heat tool on the front and the back so that it doesn't warp too much, and you can see the magic there. I love watching embossing powder melt like that. And then, sorry, I'm a little bit off camera there, but I've glued that toward the bottom third on the card front. And then I decided I was going to use some rub-ons, and I saw this little cluster of flowers that I thought went well. The shape of the flowers kind of reminded me of that quilted backdrop, that die that I used for the front. And that Happy Father's Day is from the Kindred Stamps Galactic Adventures that I still had on my desk from my last card. And I'm just rubbing on the rub-on floral little cluster here with the back end of my bone folder. And it's coming on pretty well. And I'm so glad I'm finally using these rub-ons. I have a stack of them in my drawer here, and I love how that looks, and I think it looks so coordinated with that card front, that background of the card front. Just the simple floral motif, and I'm putting that liner in place. And that is my completed inside liner. And this is my completed card. I hope you've enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an awesome crafty day.